Welcome to Guardians of the Galaxy. In this game, surprisingly, we have to save the galaxy from religion, and yeah, that sums it up pretty nicely. Now, when picking up this game, I was slightly nervous as for the car crash that was the Avengers game that came before this. However, I wanted to give it a chance. So, is this game worth playing, or does it fall at the same hurdles that the Avengers stumbled on? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's by grinding all 59 achievements that this game has to offer, and strap yourselves in, as this is going to be a longer one. So, let's crack straight on. Welcome to the achievement grind. So the game starts on Meredith Quill's farm. We of course play as Peter Quill on the start of his 13th birthday. We're jamming out to some lovely music in our room before our mum enters to wish us a happy birthday, as well as bond over said music. We go to leave our room to cut some cake up, but as we do, we awake to find Drax looming over us, saying that we have arrived at the quarantine zone and that Gamora the Betrayer is waiting to see us. In this game, the Guardians have only just really formed, with Drax and Gamora joining recently, while Star-Lord, Groot and Rocket have been travelling for quite some time. However, we get our jacket, we get our guns, we clean our teeth, and we go to meet Gamora. As we leave, we also see that Rocket is working on a new device with Groot called Thumpers, and these Thumpers will draw out the monster that we're there to capture. We see Gamora and she says we're ready to go, so we sit down, open the security field surrounding the quarantine zone and head on inside. Once we're in there, we find everything has been absolutely destroyed and pink goo has overgrown on everything. We are here to find a rare and special monster to sell to a collector. No, not that collector. So we set off with our biggest fishing net ready to earn ourselves a tasty bounty. Now, first thing, honestly, this game is visually beautiful, and I remember very well trying to take in all of the bizarre worlds and sights you see whilst exploring. So, already off to an interesting start. But for now, we need to place Rocket's Thumpers around the level to attract the creature, and by exploring this beautiful pink surroundings, we find a skin for Rocket, and by equipping it, we actually unlock our first achievement, Like a Glove. Now, collectibles and skins are going to be something that I pick up constantly throughout the game, as there are a couple of achievements related to them, but they're just basic collectible achievements, so nothing really to rave about. However, something that I need to mention is the achievement unlock system in this game on Steam is absolutely horrible. It constantly flashes letting you know how many you've got towards an achievement, and sometimes it unlocks them in the moment, and then other times it unlocks them at the end of the mission or the level. Honestly, I don't know why, but it might make the overlays a little bit confusing, so I'm going to try and edit this as best as I can to show you what I did to unlock them and when. So with that, please forgive me and let's move on. After a couple of minutes, we enter a broken ship and destroy a column of space insects. But when we do, Rocket bets us, saying that he can destroy more of those bug columns that we can throughout the level. We of course say you're on, you little trash panda, and begin the hunt for the bug. We eventually split up from Rocket and Groot, and when we go to meet up with them again, we face our first enemy of the game, what I like to call a blob conker. They're easy to take out, but I love the fact that this is the first enemy that we see in the game, and I was very much looking forward to seeing what kind of enemies we would face next. However, we meet back up with them, and then when laying the second thumper down, we get a new wave of blob conkers. Now, the combat to the game is actually rather fun. We play as Star-Lord, but only Star-Lord. But throughout the fight, we can use other team members' special attacks to make sure that we get our fix. Like here, when we ask Groot to trap the enemies in place for a moment so that they can't move or attack. And this is just one example with many abilities to unlock later on. Now, the handling of the UI to select teammates and then to select the attack and then to select what enemy on was janky as hell to begin with, I can't lie. However, this is something that does become much easier throughout the game, thankfully. After facing a new wave of enemies though and doing a marvellous job, we unlock a skill point to spend on Peter, and when we unlock a new ability, we also unlock our next achievement, Self-Improvement. Now it's time to get to the mining ship in the level to capture this creature, but as we do, we once again fall down into another ship and only get saved thanks to Gamora's quick timing. We need to get this creature and get out of this death trap as soon as possible. We enter a new part of the ship and unlock the next achievement, Eat It Rodent, for getting more bug column kills than Rocket, but as we destroy the last one, we also see a pebble drop. Rocket and Peter then get tunnel vision on this particular brainstone, but when Peter picks it up, it soon burns him and releases a kind of tiny mechanical caterpillar thingy. But that caterpillar soon transforms into a beautiful butterfly. Well, not so much a butterfly as an aggressive as hell pulsing tech mech thing, but it doesn't matter, we're here for the creature. And at this point, Drax and Gamora have both joined us because we are slow and pathetic. But when fighting a new wave of enemies, we unlock the huddle. Activating this huddle will group up the Guardians and they will tell you how they feel about the battle, if they're in the mood for kicking ass or if they feel like they're all going to die. Then if we choose the correct response, we can power everybody there and get back to the fight. And it also plays a song. The first song that it played for me was this. I swear to God I didn't edit that in. This game flarkin' rickrolled me. Anyway, we finally get to the last thumper spot and activate it ready to catch our rare creature. A light then darts around us with glowing eyes, but we ask Groot to stop it in its tracks, and it turns out to be a llama. But he's cute, so we take it. And just on cue, a much bigger and scarier monster appears. Now, this one might be more sellable, so let's catch it. But in a genuinely surprising turn, the scary mech caterpillar from earlier instantly takes out and takes over it. So we hop back on the Milano and get ready to leave this dump. We find the exit and zoom out of there with no problems in the world, except that we then get EMP'd and taken out the moment we leave the quarantine zone. But we also unlock a risky gamble for completing chapter 1, so I guess we can't complain. However, one thing I can complain about is the word flark. Now, this is going to sound like the stupidest complaint ever, but basically to censor naughty bastard swear words in this game, they instead use flark. Only one problem: they say it every other sentence. Now, it's a silly thing to get annoyed about, but after the first 2 times of them saying it, it really began to annoy me. Like, it's just unnecessary. Anyway, back to the game. And yes, as expected, the people who EMP'd us are the Nova Corps, and we are in big trouble for entering the quarantine zone. But before they board, we need to hide the llama so that we don't get into trouble. But unfortunately, Rocket also has a bucket of highly illegal tech, so we need to choose what to hide. We choose to hide the tech and get arrested. The officer man in charge then goes through the Gardeners of the Galaxy before young Nikki arrives to help with the process, even though she is clearly not meant to be there. She then takes us to our cell, but on the way we also see this old and smartly dressed fellow who is complaining that there isn't enough faith energy and that they're losing power. No idea what the decrepit git is on about, so we just breeze past him. Seconds later though, things explode and Nikki is sent flying over the rails, and since we're a hero, we throw ourselves off to save her, and in return she then saves us again. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. We then have to travel with Nikki through broken layers of the ship to return back to the surface, but we eventually reach a part of the ship that Nikki uses as a hideout, and we're pretty much safe. Now, safe from flames and falling, but not safe from our ex, who is also Nikki's mum. Nikki gets her ass handed to her by the very angry parent, but since we have her back and take the blame for everything, the problem is resolved for now, but Nikki slips us a passkey for a dungeon that I imagine we can use later. Now, the blue-skinned madam is an old flame of ours, which of course, Star-Lord is a sleazeball. We reminisce, gain her trust, and instead of prison time, the Guardians get a hefty 8,000 unit fine. We're back as a team and back on the ship, and we also get another achievement, busted. So, all is good. The team grabs their spare units and we know we need to do something drastic to be able to afford this fine. Now, it's an interesting option, but eventually we come up with a plan to sell Groot to a monster collector called Lady Hellbender, with the idea that we can get paid and then break Groot back out. And since we don't have any other option, it's gotta be done. So we trek to Lady Hellbender's planet. When we land, we are greeted with an insane weather and floating rock mushroom things. However, things obviously go wrong and we tumble off the platforms and are greeted with the angry jelly. We kill the jelly fast and move on. And again, I have to mention how stunning the levels designs are. Every level and every map have an insane amount of detail and variety to them, and travelling from part to part was a pleasure to see what design comes next. For now though, the next thing that we fight is this demo puppy. A trickier fight, but once Groot rips off its tail, it runs off. What a coward. However, now we're on the right path again. We're on it so well that we're rewarded with a pool of jelly. But this jelly is also in fact trying to kill us as well. And since everyone is impatient, everyone but Gamora jumps in. But we're sinking fast and Gamora can't save us. With us on the brink of death, we use the power of friendship and these guns that I found to freeze the jelly and save the crew. And as a reward, we unlock Flash Freeze for acquiring the ice upgrade to our plasma shooters. Soon after, we come across a cage with another one of the demo pups in, and since we need this cage to put Groot in, we have another fight on our hands. Now, pretty much the same as before, we cut them to pieces. However, we get our next 2 achievements, Unstoppable Force for getting 10 marvelous ratings during fights, and Slackbuster for using Drax's call to action against a pup. After the blue dogs die, it's time to cross the bridge and sell Groot. Rocket and Drax aren't happy as they think he doesn't look monstrous enough, which is a ridiculous thing to say with this Groot skin. I mean, look at him. However, Groot hops in and we begin to pull the cage across the bridge. As we do so, we are also sent back to our 13th birthday. This time we make out and go to see our mum and awesomely bitchin' Pac-Man cake. For our birthday, we also ask for money to go to the cinema, but for some reason, mum doesn't like that idea at all. However, she says that our dad has actually left us a long overdue birthday present, so we go to grab it. When we open the lid though, he appears to have gotten us a shadow that transports us to the end of chapter 3, unlocking the cost of freedom, and when we arrive at Lady Hellbender's gaff. The chapter starts with us observing another cell going on. This creature is trying to sell a bubble rat, but when it notices a much bigger creature, it erupts into more bubbles and transforms into it, before then eating its master. Scary stuff, eh? Well, not to Lady Hellbender, who whips this edgy boy into place without so much as breaking a sweat. Well, great. Now let's sell our twig. Surprisingly though, Lady Hellbender knows of Drax and begins to kind of flirt with him. We use that to our advantage and release Groot. She then offers us 9,000 credits for the Flora Colossus, and we accept. Groot has officially been sold and Lady Hellbender offers us to stay the night, perfect for breaking Groot back out. And speaking of, later that night we must start the prison break. However, Quill seems to have his hand tied fighting an octopus. Well, never mind, I guess. Gross. I mean, no judgment, but gross. But we're in luck. The entire crew have passed out drunk, so as long as we're quiet and sneak past them all, we will reach the throne room in no time. And that's exactly what we do, and now Rocket can finally put those paws to good use by hacking past the final door that we need to get into Lady Hellbender's throne room. And just like that, Rocket's passed, and we're in. Shame that Lady Hellbender didn't have a great VPN to stop pesky intruders where they're not meant to be. But you wonderful folks can. Thanks of course by today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. Think of Atlas to the guardian of your galaxy, if your galaxy was tablets, PCs and mobiles. There's a connection there somewhere, I promise. But with Atlas VPN, you can browse the internet safe and encrypted and protected against the villains that are ads and malware. But not only that, right now, Atlas currently have a huge discount on a 3-year subscription where you can get every month for just $1.99 with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So get to browsing that hidden and locked away Netflix content because you're not in the right region. Well, with a couple of clicks of a button, you are in the right region and ready to binge your content totally protected. Not only that, but you can also get the benefits of making sure that you get the best deals while shopping online, and also making sure that every device in your home is protected with just one subscription. So make sure you click the link in the description below to make sure that you can take advantage of this fantastic offer with a 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's no reason not to. Anyway, back to today's scheduled programming. Yeah, the throne room. That's where we were. Rocket quickly hacks into the lift systems to take us to Groot's cage, and we quickly find him and go to take our leave. Now, if you're thinking it was too easy, of course it was, and it turns out the Groot that we stole was actually the bubbly-eyed thing from earlier, as the real Groot stands beside it. Now, Lady Hellbender knows that we're treacherous scum, so she summons a squid called a Dweller to feast upon our bones. And admittedly, the Dweller in Darkness is pretty damn intimidating, but nothing we can't kill, so we set off killing. We start by freezing and chopping off its tentacles to make some beautiful space calamari. Now, we do such a good job of dismembering this poor creature that when we've chopped all 4 of its arms off, its brain gets exposed and Gamora goes for the kill. She does a wonderful job, and just like that, angry, edgy Squiddy Boy is dead and we are out of here. Also picking up the achievement Squid Kicker and Stagger Swagger for staggering enemies 25 times in combat. Now, the murder of her favourite flying tentacle weapon, Hellbender isn't a fan of. We grab some Star Wars Speedster and flee immediately. We get back to our ship, but not happy with us ripping her off. Lady Hellbender tries to crash the ship, but we just use speed and a slippery surface to knock the creature off. Lady Hellbender swears her revenge, but we're home free, completing the chapter and locking the achievement Monster Queen. Chapter 5 then starts with us receiving a call from Nikki, except the reception is garbage because the llama decided to munch on the ship. Understandable, but not ideal. So since we're not too sure what's going on but we still want to pay our fine, we make our way back to the ship. When we dock though, it's odd. There isn't a person in sight. We venture into the ship and there's still not a soul to be seen, until we stumble upon a helmet. When Quill puts on said helmet, he starts to hear voices. Quill overhears people talking about faith and a high acceptance rate, and that the promise shall be made real. Still, we haven't a clue what they're talking about, so we start to head back to our ship, until we come across the Nova Corps, killing other members of the Nova Corps. And since we're not a big fan of murder, we start murdering them. We do so well at murdering them, in fact, that we get our next 3 achievements for performing combo hits with other members of the team. Killer Friendship is for a combo with Gamora, Calathian Handshake is for doing one with Drax, and finally Timber is performing one with Groot. We also see along the way that Kor-El's ship takes off, meaning we have missed our chance to pay the fine. And not only that, but in the next room we have some bizarre praying. Now, it's not my thing personally, but they look like they're having fun at least. We We eventually find our ship, shoot her free, and hop on board for yet another daring escape, also unlocking the achievement Do or Die. So it's time to go find another friend for some answers. Off to nowhere we go, a civilization and market that's built into the severed head of a celestial being. You know, the standard. However, since the last mission blew up in our face, Rocket and Groot leave the group and do their own thing, so we must head to the new source as a 3-person team. When we reach the market though, we find my favourite Guardians character, Mantis. I adore Mantis, and this version is just like the one in the MCU, and it's just wonderful. She's weird, quirky, and glowy.
Oh, hey, Gamora. You look less depressed. Thanks.
However, she is soon told off on being where she's not supposed to be and disappears. Gamora and Drax also split off for a while as they have errands to run apparently, so I guess it's just us going forward. We play games, get robbed by a bunch of bastard children when we try to shoot them, but enough messing around, it's time to go and see Cosmo. However, when we enter this bizarrely boss-sized room, we get a boss fight between two twins called the Blood Brothers that have arrived to kill Quill on behalf of Lady Hellbender. Now, they have a catch to their fighting. When they are close together, they grow some indestructible armor because why the flag not? We try our hardest, but we cannot even put a dent in them. But Gamora comes to save the day. She separates them enough so that we can do some damage, and damage is what we do, for all of 5 seconds before I get my melon caved in. But when we undie, we do enough damage for Drax to want to taste as well. He does well, to begin with, but now as a partly full team again, we get back to murder once again. We do fantastic damage, so much so that we unlock our next achievement, Family Intervention, before some rather loud barking knocks us out. We are then once again sent back to our 13th birthday, and we open our present this time. Our mum catches us and tells us about our space dad. We don't actually believe our dad is from space, but when we open our present, which are the plasma guns, it does start to put us on the right path. Mother then says that dad was an important space alien and had to leave for his people, but now something is going to be coming for us. And right on cue, something comes. Spaceships drop in the garden and go to attack our mum. So let's put these blasters to good use by running outside and doing flak all before we are captured and taken, and our beloved mother is pronounced unalive. And with that, we complete chapter 6, unlock the achievement Between a Rock and a Hard Place, also waking up yet again in another prison cell. But this one's fantastic as there's puppies in it. Everyone else is also locked up: Drax, Gamora, the Blood Brothers, and even Rocket and Groot that were captured as well. We argue like the stupid loving family we are by barking at each other, but of course, since that doesn't make sense, it must be Cosmo. When we wake up, we are greeted to the greatest Russian speaking psychic dog, and we talk about what happened to the Nova Corps, as Cosmo says that he's been receiving some very weird transmissions and all of the people he sent out to investigate have not returned. But when we mention the promise, he brings up the Grand Unifier Raker, the old man from the ship in the 2nd chapter. He is the leader of a cult called the Universal Church of Truths, and used to be incredibly powerful. So we tell Cosmo that we will investigate for him if he helps to get us rid of our Nova Corps debt. He says he will try, and we set off. Now to get there, we have to step into the palm of a giant and be slowly taken through the void to make it to the Nova Corps ship. It's a pretty cool trek filled with some nice Easter eggs, but flack it, we've got a Nova Corps to save. Except when we rematerialize on the ship, gravity is gone, and when we try to resolve it, we flark it up and everyone gets ejected into space. So now it's time to imagine some better guns, and it works. Within a moment, our guns glow and we shoot the panel with an electric bolt, closing the door, saving the lives once more of everybody again, and unlocking the achievement Shock and Awe. We trek through the ship, but of course more controlled Nova Corps come to wreck the day. We fight our way through the ship until we see a gigantic laser that is hoovering the truth dust from the planet Contraxia. Rocket soon figures out that they are filling batteries with something, but they haven't a clue what it is, only that it is a very powerful energy. We soon enter our next fight and gain our next couple of achievements as well. Firstly, we get Dynamic Team for giving every team member a unique power upgrade, and soon after that we revive a down teammate for Pick Me Up. And since we're not done, the next we get is for using Gamora's call to action on one of these flying bastards, also unlocking No Way Nova Corps. Afterwards, we find Nikki's hideout again, and when we find out that Nikki has been doing a lot of research on us, the team now figure out that Nikki is potentially our kid, as we hooked up with her mother 12 years ago, and well, the dates perfectly match. They poke fun, but we move on to find out what the hell is going on. Also, we're not quite done with the achievements yet, as when we get ambushed, we knock 10 enemies out with flare, earning us The Crowd Goes Wild. But it's time to get to Cor-El's room to see where she is. When we get there, she isn't anywhere to be seen, but there's strange writing everywhere. Rocket goes to hack into the system for more info, and we steal a badge, unlocking 2 more achievements, Thoughtful Captain for finding half of the Guardian collectibles, and Managerial Skills for finding all of the collectibles for one specific Guardian. Rocket hacks in and finds out that there's nothing on the logs, everything has been wiped, so we must get to the bridge to see if there's anything in the backup mainframe. Now of course things don't go smoothly, as when we cross this very thin glass painted walkway, it breaks and we find out that the gigantic robed creature we saw earlier is in fact an Omnidroid. Now these enemies are absolute bullet sponges and they pack a mean punch. I mean, it uses Drax as a weapon, that's what we're dealing with here. But Drax decides to get revenge as nobody uses him as a weapon, and by using his call to action he expertly rips off both its arms and unlocks the achievement Drax the Dismemberer. We tag team the armless loser and it dies. We then make it to the command center and find some recordings showing Kor-El going to the place we saw the metal bug thing and finding the Mind Stone. The creature then comes back and the feed cuts. But before we can find out more about Reika, we are visited by Reika. That's handy. He knows who we are and says that we have misread intentions, because of course. And because we're the lucky guardians of the galaxy, the teleporter to send us back to Cosmo doesn't work, and as punishment we are forced to do the worst thing that you can think of: socialise. But we do unlock the achievement K9 Confusion as the Nova ship gets engulfed by the Reika's church. Reika then says he will explain all and takes us to see someone called the Matriarch. On the way, Reika babbles on pointlessly about how the Promise is helping people and that they're not bad guys at all. Moments later, we approach the Matriarch as she emerges from a lot of red cloth. Again, design is wonderful, but do you know what isn't wonderful? The fact that the Matriarch is Nikki. She thanks Reika for bringing the Guardians to her. Now, even though she is clearly possessed, she still has a semblance of what Nikki was in there. Now, Nikki believes she is saving everyone and that she can save her mother Kor-El, as inside her is the light that joined them. She was gone, but now she can be brought back thanks to faith, and she will show us thanks to the Mind Stone that she is now in possession of. It sends us back to our farm being attacked, but this time we can save our mum. We leap out of the window and get to murder. We kill all of the attackers and reunite with dearest mum. We hug and we have our mum back. We then get thrown into a couple of weeks later and the Guardians have moved into the farm, which is oddly wholesome. But what isn't wholesome is the black gunk invading the screen. When it fully takes over, the credits roll. But since we don't like credits, we rethink our choice and instead riddle our mother with bullets until we unlock the Mama's Boy achievement and also get the most nightmare-inducing fuel ever as our mother explodes. We then wake with Nikki over us telling us that it's Mother's birthday and we have to get the party ready. We fix a couple of decorations before Kor-El arrives. It's lovely for a moment before the Spirit World version takes us for a talk. She says that Nikki is being tricked and none of this is real. Kor-El has died, and in that moment Nikki picked up the Mind Stone and became the Matriarch, and that we need to save her. So we snap out of it. Nikki is taken away and we have some more scrapping to do. We kick Reika's ass and he runs off like a coward as well. More fighting and pushing through the enemy ensues, and we pick up 2 more achievements: Bullet Hell for killing 15 enemies with Peter's Fan the Hammer ability, and also aim assist for executing a combo with Rocket. We start to head back to the Milano, passing thousands of creatures praying, which is a gorgeous sight. But we don't care for long and make our way through. Gamora then runs off to get Reika, and the rest of us get to the death slide that spits us out into space and begins to freeze us. But like in any good film or game, we of course luckily saved at the last moment and reach the end of the chapter, unlocking the achievement the Matriarch. Back on the Milano, we question going back for Gamora. Peter wants to go back, but it's all a moot point as Gamora appears with one of Reika's arms. We then get back on the phone to Cosmo as he says that the church are at nowhere and he really can't help right now. And since there's nothing we can do, we go to meet the Nova World Mind. When trying to warn them, we can't get the World Mind to appear, until we offer to pay our fine. The World Mind then appears and says that it can't help, and the church's promise is spreading at an unbelievable rate. 75.2% of the galaxy has already succumbed to the promise. We convince them to hear us out and give them some new information that they didn't have before, but it doesn't stop them fleeing with the rest of the Nova Corps, thinking that the defeat is inevitable. But they also tell us that Adam Warlock, the church's original golden god, would be the only person who could save them, but he died many years ago. And to add insult to injury, we also still have to pay the fine. But it does get us the achievement Galactic Frugality, so I don't mind it. Reika's ship then appears again and we flee as well, just in time. But during the jump the engines pack in and we become stressed to heck. We go for a nap and unlock the achievement Desperate Times, as once again we are woken up by Drax, who says this time we just need a little faith. Drax has accepted the promise, and now his mind is turned. Drax then lands on a planet and disappears, so we need to go and rescue him. The planet he has landed on is bizarre and everything looks like a nest, and Rocket also completely explains that he hates water because it gets his fur wet and this place is covered in it. We run through to try and find Drax and soon get to civilization to see Drax is beating everybody asking for the matriarch, as she told Drax to come here. But a wonderfully familiar character comes in to save the day.
Hi, guys.
She quickly schools Drax and somehow within moments knocks him out. It turns out Mantis is actually the one who told him to come here, as she knew that he would give in to the promise back on Nowhere, and here she might be able to heal him. She climbs on top of him, possesses him, and takes everyone to a cave to try and help. Honestly, nothing really of note to say here other than the fact that in one of the fights with a new enemy, we use Groot's call of action on them to unlock the achievement Groot Canal. We soon arrive at where we're meant to be. Rocket blows up the path and accidentally causes a huge crystal to fall. Unfortunately, in the crash though, Mantis lets go of Drax and now he is very angry. He goes on a rampage but almost accidentally falls to his death. We then use the power of imagination to pull him back to land so that Mantis can climb back on top of him. We unlock the wind ability for our guns as well as the achievement fan friction. But we make it, and the result is a golden glowy egg thing. When we go to enter, a certain golden god then makes his appearance and berates us for brazenly bashing into his base. This is Adam Warlock, who the Wild Mind claimed dead. He is a tank. He momentarily mulches us to mud before instead Mantis releases Drax on him and they have a decent boxing match before Adam realizes that these people are fabulous friends and not foes.
Were you not sent by the sanctimonious shepherd?
Us? With Raker? Not a chance. We're trying to shut his ass down.
See? Friends.
God, I love Mantis so flacking much. We then enter his hut and ask for his help in healing Drax. Mantis says that we can all help Drax as she forces us inside his mind, ending the chapter, earning us Test of Faith. At the start of chapter 11, we enter Drax's mind to make him break the promise, Adam Warlock included, and within seconds we find Drax digging a grave before the Mad Titan himself appears, and it only takes us a moment to put Thanos into the floor. But then he separates into more versions of himself, he keeps duplicating and we keep fighting until he eventually wins. But instead of dying, we instead wake up in a puddle and gain the Titan Slayer achievement, even though we didn't actually slay him. But we then find Drax with his family again. This was his promise. We reach out to him and say that he knows that that isn't his wife and daughter and that he needs to let them go. He says he can't, but when we reach him later, he stands in front of both of them. We beg him to break the promise, but we are asking him to give up his family. It's hard, and honestly, this part did bum me out a little bit. Seeing Drax like this is actually pretty intense and upsetting, but eventually he comes around, and for the last time says goodbye to his wife and daughter with a final hug before he stabs them. As you do. Before the shards then turn into a giant creature that Adam stops. They awaken the hut and Drax is himself again, and it's time to go. Adam then tells a terrible tale of treachery and torment. Warlock reveals that the alien entity controlling Nikki is in fact his dark side called Magus, who he sealed in the Soul Stone to keep contained. Magus is also manipulating Nikki, preying on her pain by promising a powerful position in which to protect her past parent. Also, I'm going to stop with the annoying alliteration, as I was only doing it because Adam does it. I wanted to mimic him. It looked like fun. Anyway, the vision ends and we unlock our next achievement, Law Hoarder, for weirdly enough collecting 65% of the Guardian equivalent to the Pokedex. When we leave the cave, the church has arrived and is destroying/converting the planet. Nikki is also there overseeing everything before she leaves. We enter chapter 12 and gain the achievement Mind Over Matter. I know this is a longer one, folks, but there is a lot to do in this game and I promise you I'm only mentioning what is necessary to the story, but we are slowly getting there. We travel to Nowhere again under the pretense that we have accepted the promise. Before we land, Warlock yeets himself out of the ship as we park and go. The charade is quickly broken and we soon go back to killing enemies whilst pushing through the level. We unlock some more achievements, first adding injury to insult for using Drax's ability to defeat 10 enemies, as well as set him up, knock him down for defeating 15 staggered enemies with charged plasma shots. We reach some more preets eventually who have possessed some children. And the next achievement we unlock is for using Gamora's ultimate ability to slice apart 10 enemies for trained to perfection. We then push through and find Raker, but before we can do anything, Adam appears to get some delicious revenge. Whilst fighting, we also unlock the achievement for killing 20 enemies with Rocket's ultimate power for Boom Show, and then we eventually find Cosmo, who was also given into the promise. He goes to attack us, but we are able to remind him that even though the promise is good, his children are here and they need him. We snap him out and we now have our best boy back. He then leaves before we finally help Nikki. When we reach her, she's in the middle of a powerful faith drain, but we release the clamps binding her and go to try to talk to her again. She is adamant that she is in the right and helping people before Raker then appears, having defeated Warlock. But thanks to Rocket shooting Adam in the ass with a tracker, we can follow them. We complete the chapter and unlock Nowhere to Run. However, the team realise that even though they know where Adam is, they need help, and the only person that can help them is Lady Hellbender, who exactly isn't a fan. So the Guardians come up with a plan to get her the rarest beast of them all, Fin Fang Foom, who Drax is thrilled to be able to fight. It's pretty much a death sentence, but with no options they go to find Finn and capture him. The mission plays exactly the same as those before, the only thing worth mentioning is yet another near-death experience. Whilst exploring we get trapped, and the best thing about this planet is that the constant skyscraper-sized rocks that rain on the surface. And one is about to hit us, so when we use our brain to imagine some fire weapons we are given, and we run to the ice and melt it down, saving everybody yet again, and unlocking the fire upgrade to our weapons as well as the lava launcher achievement. Now there's nothing else I really need to mention, so before long we appear at the Fin Fang Foom fight. This creature is no joke as a giant dragon appears from the ice, ready to cook us into some lovely popcorn guardians. But we can't let that happen, so we go to knock this creature out and to capture him. It's a fairly generic fight, with some good movement and teamwork we soon bring down this colossal beast. When we win we unlock the achievement Foom's Doom, and the team celebrate their victory. But we can't even have 2 moments before Lady Hellbender is on her way to get some more sweet justice. In the process of being murdered though, our favourite bug lady appears and makes Hellbender keep her promise and give Star-Lord a chance to explain himself. She does just that before she realises that we have actually accidentally killed Fin Fang Foom, and so she goes to kill us. But Groot thankfully saves the day and does the opposite of murder and uses his power to bring Finn back to life. Hellbender walks up and claims him, the rarest monster is now in her collection. And it's good timing as the final harvest is just about to begin. Hellbender then offers her help and goes to gather her forces. We get back to the Milano and travel back to Adam, ending the chapter and gaining fully loaded for unlocking all abilities and against all odds for completing the chapter. We then go to sneak the Milano into Raker's base, but we don't have to as Lady Hellbender arrives with her army to take on the church. With our cover blown, we speed into the base and show off our fancy new suits. On the way to Adam we unlock 2 more achievements. The first is for using Groot's new ultimate power to heal or revive the Guardians 10 times for Herbal Remedy, as well as killing 20 enemies with Star-Lord's new power Eye of the Hurricane for altitude adjustment. You know the score by now, we face waves and waves of enemies pushing through the level until Lady Hellbender returns to give us our Walkman. I mention this because of the badass shot that happens when we catch it. It's like flarkin' Michael Bay directed that bit. We eventually reach Adam. He says that he knows he lost but he wants another chance to help. So we free him and go to find Nikki. We eventually find her but Raker freezes us as she takes to the machine to hoover up all the faith in the universe. Once in, Magus goes wild and possesses everything in its touch. Since we can't allow this to happen either, we end the chapter, pick up the achievement Into the Fire and go to end this. Whilst we are trapped, Corel begs us to help and once again we are transported back into Nikki's promise. But instead of helping her, we break her heart and everything in the room to try and process her mum's death and face that the promise isn't real. And we also find out that Peter isn't actually the father as Nikki is adopted. God, this part again hurts, and I really wasn't expecting to get the feels in this game, but Nikki cannot accept her mum's death. But eventually it does hit her and Peter offers to help. With the help of the candle, Nikki lets go of the promise and we are sent back. In the real world, she explodes with power and transforms into Firestorm. But with the full power of the Mind Stone in her, she passes out and Adam goes to reverse the church's power and reabsorb Magus as we take down Raker. It's a fairly tough fight, but we are soon once again victorious. We unlock the achievement Faithless before Raker falls to his knees. Nikki approaches him and holds his hand as he passes away. Bastard. Adam then fully absorbs the Magus and with that the universe is safe. We celebrate as we walk back to the ship like the true heroes we are. Everybody thanks us and we take our leave. The battle is won. Or is it? As back on the ship we unlock the achievement Broken Promises before Adam is overrun with Magus once again. Mantis then transports us all to a watery battlefield and within moments they realise that Magus is actually terrified of the Mind Stone, so we need to trap him inside it and get him closer. But how do we get him closer, do you ask? I kid you not, by annoying him. Provoking him into getting closer actually works and he comes into the attack. With a tense final section in which we have to catch the Mind Stone, it ends with Peter grabbing it and using all of his force to fight the Magus and get him inside the stone. And thankfully it works. We unlock the achievement The Magus and the Poetry Critic. Now, for some bizarre reason, the game tries to trick us into thinking that Peter is dead, but Groot, just obviously saved Finn and brought him back to life, and to everyone's joy, he does the same with Peter, surprisingly.
Also, ouch!
With Mar getting the Mind Stone, we give it back to Adam and trust him one last time, weirdly. And with that, the game is truly over. We unlock the Guardians of the Galaxy achievement, and we only have one more thing to do now. Load into the New Game Plus and try on all of the unlocked outfits that we found. We do just that and unlock the final two achievements, Fashion Passion for collecting and trying on all of the outfits, and for collecting all of the achievements we unlock This Is What We Do. And with that, the game is complete, all the achievements have been collected, and the grind is over. Now, this game was a hell of an experience, and honestly I loved more or less every minute of it. The characters were fantastically written, the game was beautiful and has great action as well as some heavy hitting moments. I do think that it could have been a couple of chapters shorter and maybe overstayed a touch, as you can no doubt tell by how much I've talked about it in this episode. But honestly, I can't wait to play this game again in the future, as I really enjoyed it and I was so thankful of the fact considering the Avengers fiasco. However, now it's time to get to the stats. The Guardians of the Galaxy, it took us almost 25 hours to grind all 59 achievements. Now, the best thing for me is that I got every single achievement in a single playthrough, which is always a huge bonus to me. The game I would give an 8 out of 10, as with less flack and flax and it being a touch more condensed and polished, it really could have been potential game of the year for me. I honestly adored it. For achievements though, even though I said it only took a single playthrough, there were still some achievements that gave me some grief, so I'm going to rate it a 4 out of 10. However, for the hardest, I will just give it to the get every achievement, as you know, it combines all of the tricky and the collectible ones. Maybe it's a little cheap, but sod it, it's my vid. As for what's coming next Sunday though, best get yourselves out of the water as we tackle Man-Eater. In this game you play as a shark dead set on revenge after your mum is killed, and to do that we need to grow big and strong as well and take on some beefy bosses in order to become the apex predator. So make sure you subscribe and come back next week to catch this fishier episode of the achievement grind. And also don't forget to swing by my Twitch where we go through all of these live as well, and I'm currently going through a very highly requested game right now if that helps convince you. Also, a massive thank you once again to Atlas VPN for sponsoring this episode, as well as to you amazing folks for watching. We recently just hit 50,000 subscribers, and that is a number that I cannot even comprehend. So from the bottom of my rehydration units, thank you all so much. Also, if anybody gets that reference, I love you even more. And parents, that doesn't mean you. I know you know the reference, but I have talked far too much today, folks. Thank you all so much again for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye for now.